It's that time. The Brightside Chronicles is about to go down with Kerri and Lynita. You ready for the show to begin?
Hey, let's go. Let's get it. It's almost showtime. Let's go. Let's get it. It's almost go time. Let's freaking go.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, yo, let's go. It's go time, baby. Let's go.
I love it with your Goku blanket in the background, and the fact that I know that it's a Goku blanket is pretty impressive, babe.
No, that's that. You know what?
Is it?
That's like a A+ for that one because you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because for anybody who knows anything about me, I don't know crap about anime.
Nope.
And in fact, I realized when we were at the metal concert, I said that you were Rengoku when you were Goku. So, but it's all
I remember that. And I was like, hey, hold on.
Yeah,
Don't get the names mixed up. Two
all right.
very different anime.
So for the listening audience, this is episode 12 of the Brightside Chronicles with your host, Nana Agyemang, and of course, myself, Kerri Lewis. And this show was cultivated out of a desire to inspire joy, to have conversations around joy, and how showing up in joy has the ability to influence all areas of our lives. So, Nana, you
What
had
up?
a joy-filled weekend this past weekend. Want to share with the audience what you did to cultivate joy in your life?
Let's get it. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's go. All right. My fault. So this past weekend, I was at this beautiful event called PAX East. PAX East is a very eclectic group of people that are there for video game purposes, vendors, anime, cosplay, so many different avenues of just bonding, right? So it's the biggest one in the East. There's a PAX East and there's a PAX West. And it was a collective event of just like, how is this even possible? Like, you have people that aren't the most sociable, but they feel comfortable in that setting. You have photographers taking pictures. You have people doing interviews. You have a multitude of people playing card games and, just random things like a scavenger hunt, like go complete a side quest of like, go say hi to 3 random strangers, like things of that nature. It's actually pretty funny. People don't realize like cons really are like not just, oh, it's for nerdy kids. It's just like, it's actually a vibe. Like, it really is a vibe. So I did that from Thursday. No, well, it started on Thursday and I went on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it was so freaking healing. Like, it was just I don't know, it revitalizes me when I go to these things, and it just makes me so much more happier. And I'm like, okay, I did my little mini vacation, and then I just come back and just try to do whatever I can to get back to another mini vacation.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, so let me ask you. So you mentioned that it's healing for you and it revitalizes you. How does showing up doing things that bring you joy, which is dressing up in cosplay characters and meeting new individuals, transfer into your everyday life where maybe you're not in a con or you're not necessarily connected with individuals that are like-minded?
Damn, that's a very, very good question. I think really it's just, how do I word this? Like, I get to be me regardless of whether I'm at a con or whether I'm outside of a con. You know what I mean? So if I'm at a con and I'm taking a picture with a total stranger that just loved the cosplay that I was wearing, that creates a memory. But it's also the same thing when I'm at work, when I'm taking pictures with customers that buy a car for me per se. That's a memory. Or if I'm just meeting somebody that like happens to know who I am just in passing wise, that also is another memory that I'm getting to like build in people's lives. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it transmutes a lot. I feel like my world of what I do in cosplay almost spills into what I do in regular life because it's just me just being myself. And it's just at a whole different level when I'm at these cons because I feel like I just hit this like peak of just joy and excitement. I walked in there, babe, and I literally looked up and I was like, oh, this is cool stuff. Like, it was so like, it was just in awe because I've never been to that area. It was the Boston Convention Center. and it's like a huge area. It's like 3 floors, and it's just openness of just there's the expo floor, which is the lowest level. Then you go to the first floor, which has like the food court and certain little areas, and then even the second floor would be the one that has like all the little gaming rooms and relaxing and things of that nature. So it was really um, a cool like thing to do. It was a really cool thing to do, and I'm glad that I got invited to it.
I love that. And still, I'm going to dig in a little deeper because I really think that joy escapes a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as much as you and I get to experience it, I see a lot of people who really don't encapsulate or they kind of walk through this life apathetic. So
Mm-hmm.
how does stepping away from your everyday responsibilities, going to work, selling cars and
Yeah.
educating customers, paying bills, how does taking that time for you influence your ability to then experience joy within the quote unquote mundane experiences of your life?
I mean, it's a refresher. You know what I mean? That's the thing is like, I always tell people if you get to a certain point in life and you are able to do these things of like taking time for yourself, do the shit that you enjoy. Like at the end of the day, like this life is gonna keep moving with or without you at the end of the day. So like me being at a con for the 3 days, I'm not worried about what's going on at work. I literally, I remember like back in the day, I'd be like, oh, if I took time off, I'd be like, oh man, I'm probably missing out on like a 20 car day or whatever it is. And somebody probably might have sold 3 cars. I didn't sell anything. But what I've gotten better with is making sure I set myself up before I get to that, vacation time or whatever. So like if I have to work a couple extra days before then, I'm okay with that because I understand that I have a vacation that's coming up that's worthwhile to me. So then when I come back, I'm not like, oh man, I'm like behind the month. Like, you know, perfect example last month. I took what I felt like we did something. What did we do last month? I
I
know
know
we
we
went
do a
somewhere.
lot of stuff.
Yeah, but no, I went to what it was is I took Austin to the con, which was
Yeah.
right next to the building that I was at actually this past weekend. But what it was is that we were heading to a con and I was like, okay, I'm taking them on the 19th. I want to make sure I'm at a good point in the month to be able to be like, okay, like I'm good. You know what I mean? So, grind out the beginning of the month, basically worked every day, which I was okay with because I mentally knew I was taking that time off. And then it got to the 19th. I took that Saturday off, went to the condo. My nephew had a great time. And it was super refreshing. But I had like 24 cars out on the 19th. You know what I mean? So like, and thankfully, with the help of customers and people putting my name out there, I finished with 32 cars that month. And it just shows that you can really take the time off to make time for your joy and happiness. And if anything, you almost come back more refreshed because you did the thing that you wanted to do. You know what I mean?
100%. I love that. So
Yeah.
first off, the day has come. What's up? Thanks for
Hey,
watching.
yo, what else? What's going on? What's going on?
And listen, we love people to interact. So feel
Please,
free to jump in
questions.
and comment because
Yep.
that's the jam. So my question for the listening audience is, what do you do to inspire and cultivate joy in your
Correct.
life? And how does that impact your everyday responsibilities and how you show up?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you said it best. And I am constantly working to impress upon people we
Correct.
aren't robots.
Correct.
We thrive on being inspired, right? I
Yep.
think that we as a human species have gotten caught up in this ideology of overthinking. So I'm going to
Overthinking. Yep.
think my way into excelling at work. I'm going to think my way into being a great parent. I'm going to think my way
Mm-hmm.
into creating the perfect business plan. I can tell you my most successful endeavors, whether it's opening a business or showing up as a mom for my teenage children or being able to support you in,
Appreciate
creating content for your cosplay
you.
characters.
Best camera woman in the business.
Well, no, but seriously comes from being in joy. I don't think about what it is that I'm called to do. I feel into it, and I feel into it because I'm joy filled.
Yeah.
When I'm stressed out, I can achieve results. It's not that I can't. I've done it in the past, and yet the impact that those results had were less than the impact I've had when I've done it in spirit, in joy,
Okay.
feeling, overcome with just the love for life.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you got a great point in that of what you're talking about, because I just love the fact that even with yourself, you're pretty constant in the place of joy for the most part. We all have our rough days and things of that nature, but like I feel like you have it more of like you just radiate it on the regular, and I feed off of that. I mean, as much as I'm joyful, I'm like, oh shoot, babe walked by and she's like saying hi or whatever. She brought me lunch. That's cool stuff. Like those little sprinkles in the day literally keep that joy that I get going. And yeah, there are going to be challenging days. At the end of the day, it is what it is. But like the sense of just like somebody's thinking about you in a good manner of like, I want to make sure that I can bring that sense of happiness to someone. It goes a long way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
first off, hey,
Oh,
gentlemen, gamer,
yeah, that's my boy Mike DiPietro.
who it is, who
We
was
went.
at the PAX East with
Yep.
you, so shout
It's
out.
all his fault. It's all his fault
Oh,
that I was
his
at
fault.
PAX
How
East.
dare you take my man away from me for a weekend? No,
Yo,
I'm just
shout out to Mike and Maddox. You guys are so amazing for like hosting me, and having me be part of you guys is, I guess you can say,
experience.
experience. Yeah, I think that's the best word to say it, because like I'd never been to PAX East, and the cool thing is this was actually Mike's first ever con. Believe it or not, he hadn't gone to a con before, but he's seen me go to cons. They flew all the way out from South Carolina to like come out here to literally come check us out, and I was like, bro, you're coming out here, like. And I haven't seen Mike in probably, I want to say like a year and a half. I think last time he was up here was like a brief visit, but I mean, I still keep up with him because he's a great, great person. And even just shooting the stuff with him and Maddox, it was just super, super like down to earth. And we were talking about the glizzy gobbler, which is, you're gonna laugh at this. It's somebody that eats a hot dog. So we like,
That's not what I was thinking the glizzy
no,
gobbler
that's what
would
it's supposed to
say.
be though.
I
No,
said to gobble down dark
hey,
chocolate on
hey,
it.
yo. But that's what we were making a funny joke. It was like a running joke all weekend, like the glizzy gobbler. So like I've been sending Mike the glizzy gobbler thing, all freaking like memes and stuff the past couple of days as well too. So
Well,
yo, wait, Mike, look what Mike said though.
I saw it. And here's the thing,
No, I
having
gotta go ahead, go ahead, go
been
ahead.
Nana's partner for 5 years, that's our whole life. The world is hosting Nana's experience. I'm just saying, our girls literally like, who don't you know? I'm
Bruh.
like, hey, it's a vibe. But
But
I do want to circle back to something you said, because
yeah.
I shared this on the podcast before. And I know that Nase, your brother, who was a guest on our show, discussed this. For me, I cultivate joy intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
We get to decide how we want to experience life.
Correct.
And so often people just go along to get along, never questioning their belief systems, never questioning their habits, never questioning their behaviors, and certainly never questioning their perspectives.
Yeah.
Once I realized that we have this incredible gift called a brain that is malleable and can be reprogrammed at any point in my life, I made a conscious choice to reframe my thought process to look for the joy, look for
Mm-hmm.
the positive, look for the opportunities to find gratitude rather
Correct.
than feel victimized. And to this day, there are days where it takes more effort for me to cultivate joy. That
Yeah.
is true. However, the gift I've given myself is I recognize that whether it takes me a minute or 2 hours, I have the ability to continue to examine my perspective and then change my experience.
Yeah.
So an experience that may cause me suffering can easily be turned into an experience of gratitude because it gave me an opportunity to learn
Yeah.
something that I needed to so I can move forward with a different choice.
So
And so that takes work. So I encourage people, like, joy didn't come naturally for me. It
No,
just
it
didn't.
doesn't
It
come naturally
does
for most
now.
people though.
I've reprogrammed my brain to seek joy,
Yeah.
but it didn't. And so we have the opportunity to rewire our brain to find joy. It just takes effort.
Correct. And I love that you brought that up because I actually was talking to let me see. What did Mike say? The mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. Yo.
Robin Sharma is a
Yeah.
wonderful author.
Great point. Great point. But
So
going
he
back to
wrote what is it? The monk who drove the Ferrari or something. I have the book, and then another
yo,
book I read. Oh, the 5 a.m. rule or something
yeah.
like that.
But I love it. So I remember walking through the con. I was actually looking for Mike and Maddox at the con. I forget. I think I might have been with Becky because like they were in the same hotel and we were looking for them. Oh, what up, Lex? But basically we're walking through the con and there was this gentleman that was playing, I believe is Magic the Gathering, which is a popular card game. So literally he was playing that and I went up to him because I liked this shirt and I was like, yo, nice shirt. And then we just started talking, right? And basically what it came down to was like, I was like, what brought you here? And he was like, well, this is like the time that I get to really take time for myself. And I look forward to this every year. He's been to like probably 8 different PAX East, but it was so cool. And this guy has like 3 kids, wife at home. And he's like, this is my getaway time. This is my take care of me. This is my joy. And I thought about it and I was like, this is so cool. And I was like, you know what? Like to have somebody say that to a total random person like myself that was just walking through dressed up as freaking Chun-Li or whatever I was. And it was just cool because it showcases just how like unique the gathering of people that go there. I mean, it could be a single dad or somebody's uncle or whatever it is. Like it's just so many different backgrounds from everywhere, and it was just really heartwarming to hear. Like he was like, "Yo, I'm just always grateful for this event because I really look forward to this on my calendar." And I was like, "Dang, I got in my feels because I'm just like." Bro, this is my first one, and this is the experience that I'm getting right now of like meeting all these like genuinely down to earth people.
Yeah. Well, the fact that you commented on somebody's shirt
yeah,
is an opportunity to bring joy. And I think that it's important to highlight for people. You don't just have to go to a con or the Kendrick Lamar show,
oh
which
my
is
gosh, we're gonna have to talk about that too.
listen. I
We're
mean,
gonna have to talk
Nana
about
and
that.
I went to Kendrick, and
Yeah,
that brought this girl
yeah.
so much joy. But I think it's important to press upon people. Joy can be cultivated by looking at the color of purple that emanates from the
Mm,
flower
mm.
that is on the ground. It can be cultivated by opening the door for an
Yep,
individual
yep.
or,
Smiling.
smiling at a stranger. And so often, especially in my line of work, I see people comparing themselves to others. Oh, I wish I had the better car. Oh, I wish I was able to go to the con. And I get it, right? Like I'm a human. I've been building a business. There have been things that I haven't been able to
Correct.
achieve because of my my focus right now.
Yeah.
But instead of focusing on what I don't have, I work really hard to appreciate what I do. And in that is really where I'm able to cultivate joy in that everyday moment. With that being said, talk about
Ooh.
cultivating joy. I got my homegirl up in here and I am just
Hey, yo,
yeah.
yo,
Hey!
it's Three's
Oh my
Company.
gosh!
Is company. What is going on, beautiful Lynita?
That was
Hi.
like perfect timing. I mean, as soon as you talk about joy, here I come. And I am just so excited to be here. Thank y'all so
We're
much.
excited to have you. We're excited to have you, and I'm grateful that you're able to make it.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
I
and
was,
so for the listening audience, first off, I'm blessed with the opportunity to call Lynita a dear soul sister
Mm-hmm.
from the same mister, but in different areas
Universe.
of the world. It's cool. But you and I have similar experiences in that we have created joy in our life through the experience of maybe things that didn't always feel joyful. So, how has tapping into and cultivating joy within your life overflowed into how you show up and serve people, because you are a servant leader?
Well, thank you. So, first of all, thank y'all for having me. It is
Thank
such a
you.
joy to be here.
Thank you.
Quite literally, with two authentic souls who are on this beautiful journey of life. We're just all doing the best that we can with what we have and what we know, right? And that's what I do when we're talking about creating joy in our lives. I have had a blessed life, but it was not without its hurdles.
Correct.
And I've just gotten to the place where I'm comfortable talking about some of the challenges that I've faced,
Yeah.
which include molestation, incest, um, and rape.
Yeah.
And each time someone displayed hostility and violence toward me, what I did is I turned within and I turned to my mind. And I always focused on working hard because I was like, that's the thing no one can take from me.
Yep.
Yep.
And so I learned to hide behind academics and accomplishments. And, I literally worked myself almost to death when I was diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis. And it took a lot longer than it should have to get down to that diagnosis because I would not pause to go to the doctor. Even, I'm just keeping it 100, y'all.
Please do. We love that. That's
Yeah,
talk your stuff, please.
yeah. I was bleeding through Depends diapers. That's how heavily I was bleeding.
Yeah.
And I was in so much pain, I was taking 6 Aleve at a time every 4 hours. It is amazing. It is truly miraculous that I still have my stomach,
Yeah.
after taking medicine like that. But I got to the place where there was nothing else that I could do but come to my senses when my child found me. She was 6 years old at the time,
Yeah.
passed out in the middle of the floor from exhaustion. And I am so grateful, y'all, that she just thought that mama was tired. She did not realize that I didn't get up from the floor, not because I couldn't, but because
Yeah.
I was just tired.
Yeah.
But I couldn't move.
Huh.
That's how tired I was. I could not move. And my child, because she is sweet, went to her bed and she got her little pillow and put it under my head and her Disney princess's blanket and put it over my body. And she kissed me on the forehead and said, "Good night, mama." And the only thing that I could do was say, "Good night, baby."
Yep.
I could not put my baby to bed. My baby was putting me to bed.
Mm. Mm.
That was 11 years ago. And that was when I knew something needed to change.
Yep.
But if anyone has ever, and I know that y'all too understand this, but for your audience, if you have ever suffered from any kind of addiction, workaholic, alcoholic,
Yeah.
gambling, anything, you know that there are two hard stops. It's the hard stop where you know that something needs to change, right? So that was my first one. But then there's the second one where you're willing to make the change, which
Ooh.
is getting help,
Ooh. Ooh.
right?
Ooh.
Right?
Knowledge
And
bomb.
so that second hard stop did not come until I was at the doctor's office and that man came into the room. I can laugh now. It wasn't funny then. Yeah, that man came to
Yeah.
the room and he looked at me and he girded his loins.
Yeah. Yo.
He took a deep breath, and I saw, like, literally when they talk in the Bible about put on the full armor of God. I watched this man turn into somebody else so he could talk to me and tell me that I was going to have a series of really bad surgeries and take some horrible medication,
Mm.
and it still might not do what we want it to do.
Wow.
And he gave me a stack of papers. Now, my profession, y'all, I'm an attorney, right? That's how I make my money. That's how I pay
Shout
my
out.
bills.
Shout out. Shout out.
Okay. And so as a lawyer getting all that, you're like, what you want me to do with this? What? I have to sign this. What? And
Gotta read
someone
it.
was like, yeah, we can't guarantee. You might have a colostomy bag. You might not get off this table at all. I'm like, wait. We're here now? Like, yes.
Yep.
And that's why I said anybody who has faced addiction, by the time you hit that second heart stop, y'all have blown through every red light,
Yeah.
and there is no going back, and it is that bad.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
know what's insane is, well, so many people end up not ever stopping, and their body quits before they have the opportunity to
Check
get,
themselves. Yeah.
check themselves. And that's,
Yep.
you know, Lynita, I'll keep it real. I use you as an example for a lot of my clients as to, I'm like, listen, because we are so conditioned to perform. We, you know, we really are, and we don't recognize that even the person who thinks, you know, that they've got it all figured out, if you identify your worth with like an external achievement, then you're performing to meet the needs or the expectations or the ideology of an external source, and that keeps us separated, in my opinion, from
Yeah.
joy.
Yes,
Oh.
I totally agree. And that was the hard stop, right? Where I had to say that I was going to have to figure out what it was that had me mingle my self-esteem, my self-worth with achievement, and what was keeping me from a joyful life. And most people, they think that joy and happiness are synonymous, and they are not, because happiness is an externally defined emotion.
Mm-hmm.
That means that you
Yes.
can be hijacked at any time someone else is determining what you
Yes.
feel. At
Yes.
any point in time, you're happy because the sun is out, you're sad because it's raining. I don't want to be jerked around like that, you know? And so
Girlfriend.
it really, you're right. And
That was New England today.
it's right. Yes, Nana.
It was
Yes.
going through the motions, ups and downs.
Yes. So I was like, there is something else that we're all looking for. And what I got to is I wanted joy. So that is an inside job. That's nothing anybody can do for you. And how you get there
What is
may look
it?
different from how somebody else, but I became joyful, and I stay joyful by being grateful,
Yep.
by being thankful,
Yep.
and being in love with me. And
Yes. Yes.
that last one can be challenging because we're talking about every lump, bump, every dip,
Yep.
every loud talk, every chipped tooth, every time somebody told you, yeah, there you go. Every
I say
time somebody told you that you don't belong in a space, it requires you to rise up and say, I was born belonging. I was born loved.
Ooh.
And it
Love
takes
that.
time. And I don't want anybody to believe for a moment that you're just going to wake up and it's done. Baby, it takes time. It is a continuous
Yep.
journey. And that's why you got to continue to tune into programs like this one, to get your podcast, to get your audio books going, to listen to your sound baths, to go into meditation and prayer. Do your
Ooh.
deep breathing, stretch your body, have good sex, baby. Do the things that you
Yes.
need to do.
I be telling everybody I love my chocolate candy
Yo.
stick.
You know what I'm saying? And you
I
need to
just
lick on
saying.
that chocolate candy every
Yo.
day.
Where is Pac?
Every
What's this?
day.
Listen, no, but you know what?
Yo.
I love what you just said, Lynita, in that it is a constant choice. That just before you jumped on, because Nana was saying, you know, Kerri, you're joyful. I am, but it is a constant choice.
Correct.
I get to
Correct.
choose. And I think, you know, we have daughters that are the same age, right? And I look at so many parents, and this goes back to that external, like, happiness versus joy. So many parents right now, oh my God, my baby's going off to college. Like, they are allowing this experience that I personally think is amazing
Yep.
to tear them down. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I did such a damn good job. My kid's leaving the nest and is competent enough to be able to be resilient, to choose joy, and to know when she needs to call her mama for help. Like,
That's
that
right.
to me is, and that is where we choose internally. how to perceive things rather than focus on externals, because a lot of the narrative is up, you're empty nesters, what you gonna do now? And I'm like, well, me and Nana are gonna go see Kendrick Lamar more times. I don't know.
I was like, this like more concerts, like we got like some more events coming up and everything like that. Like, I don't know, and I love that you're talking about the internal joy, because I feed off of that myself, right? So like, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, if I want to play like music and blast the speakers while I'm taking a shower, I'm gonna do it because it brings me that sense of joy. It sets my day up. Kerri's seen it numerous times where I'm just like, oh babe, I'm gonna watch like, I don't know, some anime or whatever to kind of like reset my mind. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many ways to kind of culminate that sense of joy that a lot of people sometimes just don't have the tools to do that. And I think it's just it's nice to see that you can do it authentically and be yourself without worrying about other people when you're doing it for your own self. You know what I mean?
I do want to jump in. So first off, Alana and Robert is from Kenya. And when we're talking about somebody who cultivates joy, Robert struggled with alcoholism and now has made it his mission to focus on fitness to support people to really heal. So I love that. And then Falana, I mean, you share your story, girl, but she's an exceptional woman who's overcome a lot of suffering to choose joy too. So thank you guys for sharing. And Falana, you right, Lynita's fire. So I'm gonna there. Yeah. So, Lynita, the question, like, it begs the question for me. So, you recognize that you were operating from, this mask that I think everybody does, because regardless of whether you've experienced sexual trauma, domestic violence, familial trauma, societal trauma, right? Everybody has experienced trauma, and that has, in my opinion, created this wall, right? This separation that keeps us from tapping into love. Because I think when you're in joy, you are pure love. Like Robert said, once you establish this understanding and you did the work, what are the things that you lean into that just get you in that? Oh my God, I'm feeling good. Let me share with the world today. Feeling.
The first thing is I start with me every day. And that most of us are not taught to do, because we're taught that to look to self is selfish. But I'm telling you that it's soulful. You want to serve everybody in the world, and it's beautiful to be a servant leader. You serve self first, and then you serve others. And for my community that's more spiritual or religious, if you look to each religious leader in the major religions, I do not care which one, and I've studied them. The first person that leader served was self by going into prayer and meditation every day at the top. And then he or she went out to talk to their disciples, their scribes, the people who they were leading to lead others, and then they went out to the masses. But
I'm gonna pause you real quick because you sound like who's that guy and you're breaking up, Lynita, and what you're saying is so profound.
Yes,
I don't know.
we want to hear it.
Is that better? Is it cleared up?
It keeps starting you in and out.
You sound like you're in Charlie Brown, that which is great for joy. I'm down with the joy.
Okay, I'm gonna try to leave and come back. Okay.
Please, we need to hear what you're saying, please.
Yeah, and so just to summarize what I believe Lynita was saying while we wait for her to join, let's see if she's already back. Let's see. Can we hear you?
Yay! I'm here.
There we go.
Okay. Rewind.
Right, good. Talk yourself, please.
Yeah. Well, so what I heard was starts with self and then
yes. So it always starts with self, and then you can serve everybody else. But for my religious and my spiritual people out there, every major religion, the person who is leading always started with self. They went into prayer and meditation first, and then they came down from the mount or came out of the desert, and then they spoke to their leadership team, the tribes, the disciples, and then they went out to others. So somewhere along the lines, we got lost here.
Yep.
And we were told that if we made everybody else happy, that we would be happy. That is crazy.
Nope.
It is.
That is not that's not sustainable.
It
Not.
is unsustainable, Donna.
Yep.
Absolutely. That
Yep.
is crazy. And if you need a visual, if you have a cup and there's water in that cup, and you give everybody around the table water until it's empty and you get the empty cup, what are you expecting out of that? Absolutely nothing.
Boom.
Yo,
Right.
that's a
And
great analogy. Holy shoot.
I want to jump in because something you said that I align deeply with. We're 8 billion different people. So what fills Lynita's cup may not fill Nana's cup, may
Correct.
not fill my cup.
Correct.
And I think, the practice that I can speak to about Lynita and I is we're not selling you on some idea that you have to do it this way. What we are doing is holding space for you as you give yourself permission to get curious, to
Yep.
try the things, to figure out what fills your cup. And then once you do, hold you accountable to fill it. Because sometimes, as Lynita shared earlier, it's easy to get lost in the noise of society saying, nope, you got to produce. And then Lynita's like, Kerri, girl, you better sit yourself down and check yourself before you,
Wreck
check
yourself.
yourself. I'm just
That's
saying.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yeah. I love that so much. They had us all backwards, Philana. I mean, but
Ooh.
that's the thing is, how difficult was it for you, Lynita? Right? Let's just call a spade a spade. A Black woman in America being a lawyer with all this
Challenges.
expectation, whether it's self-induced or societal, I don't know, and I'm not going to assume, to then give yourself permission to cultivate joy. Like, I imagine even with this health issue, you must have bucked up against ideology that made you maybe question whether or not it was okay to take care of Lynita.
Kerri, get out of my pocket. Get out of my pocket, Kerri.
Yo, get out of my pocket. That's a good. I'm gonna use that terminology. I love that.
It was almost impossible. And what it came down to was the week that I spent in the hospital after that first set of surgeries, and realizing that I never wanted to feel this way again, and owning that I needed help if I was going to do something different. And so I started working with Rowena Silvera Beck, who is a performance coach, and she also is my spiritual mother, because I was going to need somebody who had both the science as well as the spirit,
Yep.
Correct.
because that was
Correct.
the only way that I was going to stick with it. And I'm just keeping it 100. Y'all, I have been so blessed with so many different accolades and certifications and degrees. It was going to take a
You deserve
person
it.
who was performing here for me to hear it. Now, I'm not
Mhm.
like that now, but that's where I was then. And I just want to be honest, when we're talking about our journey, we don't talk about those things that make us appear in a negative light. But
Yeah.
that was ego, but that was real, okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
it is
Yep.
So,
real.
yeah, and it took 2 years working with Rev Row for us to deconstruct my life. The first thing is she had me write down everything that I was involved in, and it was 7 pages, single space,
Dang.
on legal size paper. And for some of you who are thinking to yourselves, that's crazy. If you're a mom, you have at least 5 pages. And I'm going to tell
Woo!
you why. Because you're not just mom. Especially when you have small kids, you are also daycare. You are the nanny. You're the doctor. You're the nutritionist. You're everything. And even after those kids get older, you become the sex
Yo,
ed teacher. You're buying condoms and all. Or I hope you are. Or birth control or something for these kids. I'm serious. You are
real
the
talk.
secret keeper. You are the person going up to the school and running behind them as the soccer mom, band mom, sometimes both. Your life is packed. And we're not even talking about your responsibilities when it comes to your jobs. I'm talking about the job that's on that description and the job that you actually do to make sure that your life is as easy as possible in that company, because they're not necessarily hiring the best person to stand next to you. They're sometimes hiring a straight clown because that's the cousin. Okay, you laughing because you come from a corporate background just like me, and you know
I
that's
know.
the truth.
Listen, Nana and I were talking
I
to
know,
his
Lynita,
sister
tonight.
Danielle about this recently. I get it.
Yep. And I mean, I see, and I mean, first and foremost, I'm gonna throw this plug in there. Happy Mother's Day to both of y'all. Just wanted to just throw that out there, just to celebrate all the moms out there and any moms that's watching. Y'all play all these almost about impossible roles. Like, it's just numerous hats at one time. So I want to throw that plug in there for a second. And then go back to the whole like thought process that you had. I'm in the same boat too. I'm very driven. Like, as you can probably tell, like, you know, obviously I do the cosplay thing and everything, but I'm also very driven when it comes to like working out. I'm driven when it comes to my line of work, being a car sales personnel, and I'm very driven on really anything I put my mind to, because I don't see myself not doing well in anything, because I'm just too tunnel vision to be like, okay, well, if I want to be this good at this, how do I get to that level of like where all the other people are? Like right now, like per se, right? Like I have friends that do content creation, which is that's a job within itself. You have to do that's like a 9 to 5. You have to be constantly coming up with, which is amazing. Some of them do a really great job of it, and I'm like, I couldn't put myself in that situation right now because I do it just for fun. I don't want to make it a job. You know what I mean? I love the idea. Just like I drop something online and then somebody gets a good vibe off of it. I'm grateful for it. It's under due diligence and I keep moving. But you know, it just shows that like the expertise lies where you're talking about. Like there has to be somebody above you to be like, nah, you can't even touch me. You're not even on my level yet. Like, you know what I mean? And it happens in sales. Sales, like you're always portrayed to be like, oh, you're competing with the next person. I'm just like, actually, some people aren't really competing. They just want to do the best that they can. Like, you know what I mean? If somebody's trying to compete with me, best know that I'm not trying to like, nah, you're not that nice. Like, you're not that good. I know I can dominate your ass. Like real talk. So
Hey, Dad, keep it real.
yeah.
And Nana, there's everything right with you knowing that you are the best at what you do. There's everything right with that. Somewhere along the lines, we were told that if we acknowledge that we are that good, that we are egotistical and we're arrogant. No, when it's coming from a place of love and we know that we're able to use our skills, gifts, and talents in a way that serves others and helps others, it's absolutely imperative that we acknowledge those things that we are absolutely the masters of. Because that's where our power comes. That's our superpower. That's when the world is going to change. But as long as we keep telling ourselves, I am a small version of whatever somebody has told me, will never rise up. The world will continue to stay on fire because I don't know if everybody else is paying attention, but it is wild out here. It is wild out here. I've gotten to the place I can't even watch the news. It is ridiculous.
That's probably a good thing.
Right, like I'm gonna jump in here for the listening audience. We have a reticular activating system. It is a GPS for us, and if you want to experience joy, you have to feed your brain joy. If you want to experience joy, you're feeding yourself fear-based narratives, which I have to tell you, I work globally around the world with people in Europe, in the Middle East, in Australia, and there is so much joy. There is so much love. I can sit. I know if I'm having a minute, I can do. Lynita, I just need to cry, and she got my back. Like that's joy. That's connection. That's a love, and that is pervasive. But that's not what the news feeds you. And so I do believe we have a responsibility to ourselves to seek joy and cultivate it, and really teach ourselves how to experience it, because what you seek will find you. In the Bible, it says, ask and you shall receive. You know what I mean? It says, be still and know I am. Like that's real, but you have to train yourself to find what it is you want to experience, and that's really, really important. And so, and the other thing I want to touch upon, Lynita, you and I are very similar, and my parents come from academia, and I did not grow up in church. So me and spirit, I didn't know boy, girl, whatever you derive.
Whole
That
being.
was a foreign something until my 30s, but logically I could study quantum physics, and if they could prove the existence of an unseen force, and then I start studying theology, which I did, well, then science proved the unseen force, which then, to your point, I needed both to get me to take action. To be like, oh, okay, so if I sit in guilt, I'm almost dead anyway, so I might as well give myself permission to at least get angry and have courage, right?
Yes. And I love the fact that you mentioned anger, because a lot of people think that anger is bad. Number one,
Ooh.
anger is one of the emotions that Great Spirit gave us. So there is a purpose behind anger. Anger lets you
Yep.
know that there is correction that needs to be made. Now, it doesn't mean that you got to get wild and rageful and out of control, but absolutely acknowledge your anger so that you look at your life and say, what needs to change here? And
Yep.
then make the change. Because when you don't, that thing, whatever it is that's bothering you, burrows down into your body and it becomes illness.
Yep.
And
Mental
it's
Yep.
health
not going to, yeah. Go ahead,
and
Kerri.
physical health. So it becomes
Yes.
mental and physical illness. But let's talk about this. You know what? I just did a post. I love getting my clients angry at me. Even my kids. Oh, I got you spicy. Why? Because you're more likely to take action.
Take action. Oh
Yes.
my God.
Our world right now is apathetic, right? Like they're like, well, it is what it is. Nothing I can do about it. So they come from this energy of just like not having hope. At least if I can at least tick you off, well, now you're more likely to take action because you're feeling energetically inclined to do so. And so I love anger when it's directed in the right way. It's not a justification to harm others or yourself
Yes.
or be cruel, but you can harness anger. I mean, think about, look at guys, the Black Mamba, right? Kobe
Yo.
went through some crap, but he harnessed what could have really made him, quote unquote, a bad person or whatever, into this fuel that made him unstoppable and one of the biggest supporters of the WNBA.
I
Yes.
mean, going back to harnessing anger, and I love that you brought Kobe up because that's my guy. You know what I mean? Like that's like I listen to his mantra. I'm big about like what he's about, and I love that I myself have done that numerous times because sometimes people see and they're like, oh, like he's upset, and I'm like, I'm really not. Like when I'm upset, it actually makes me more tunnel vision because I'm like, oh, now I got to prove shit to myself that I can do things using
Yes.
this fuel of anger, and not in a detrimental way. It's more in like I'm gonna get things done. Like so, prime example, I had one of the team leaders a couple months back. We kind of got into it, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna sell at least 3 cars today to make up for like this little difference of like just butting heads. And of course, your boy sold 3 cars that same day because there was no way I wasn't selling 3 cars at the end of the day. So like I used that anger to channel it to be like, okay, this is gonna make me excited, and I'm gonna just lock in and prove to people that I can do things without, you know, coming off as like, oh man, he's using bad light of like he was just grumpy all day. Like, no, I don't got time for that. I got things to do. I got things to accomplish. So I love that you brought that up as well.
Yeah, your sound is a little funky again, Lynita, but that's okay. I don't know if it's because it's your car, but it's all good. We can deal with funky sound.
It's
Um,
only popcorn in the background.
what's
It's
that?
so weird. I don't know what is
I
going
mean,
on.
it's all good. At least you don't sound like I'm trying to think of the yellow guy in Charlie Brown. You know when he's like, wah, 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 wah.
But
That's
Well,
how
if
you
it gets
sounded earlier.
well, if it gets really bad, just let me know, because we
nah,
know if I leave and come
And
back,
come
it
back,
clears
it's
up.
all good.
nah,
Well,
you're good.
so what things do you do to cultivate joy in your life besides, so I know you're connected with spirit, and I know you have that, those people who lift you up, because I think we all need them. What are some just random things you do that bring you joy, Lynita?
Yeah, so the first thing is I give thanks no matter what is happening around me. And I know that that sounds extreme because sometimes when I'm caught in traffic, when somebody has been wild, one of my clients has been what we call out of pocket, they're just
Out of pocket.
disrespectful, right?
Yeah.
It is hard to be happy in those moments, but I can still be joyful that I have a car, that I am safe, that I am going to eventually get where I want to go, right? So there still is joy even in traffic. When I have a client that is just not being the professional that they could be, I'm still grateful that I have the client, that I'm going to get paid for the transaction, that it's going to come to an end eventually. And these are things that we have to be able to do in the present moment, because that's the moment that's going to determine the rest of our lives. The only moment that matters is right here, right now. And you have total and complete control over that. And I just really want to reiterate, this does not mean that you are never going to have your heart broken, that you're not going to be angry, that there will not be times in your life where you just like confused and don't know where to go. That
Right.
is not what that means. What this means is that even in the midst of whatever is going on, that you know that you are loved and that life is worth living in that moment. And this is not to belittle or make someone who has considered doing something to go ahead and cross the veil, that to make it sound like they have no right to do so. That is not where I'm coming from at all. What I'm saying is every moment that you're here, there's purpose behind it. And when you know that, you can have joy.
Mm. You know,
You can have joy.
did you want to say something, babe? Because
No, 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 you're good. You're good. I'm
okay.
in this awe. That's fine. You're good. You're good.
So I love that you said the only moment we have is right now. Earlier today, I was asked to give a bio for a podcast, and I won't give bios anymore, because who I was yesterday is a different version than I am today in this moment. And when we assume that we know what the experience is going to be like, we limit ourselves and to this experience that really is the past. And that's what the great spiritual teachers have really tried to impress upon, is when you come from childlike wonder, meaning you don't have an assumption that today's going to be like yesterday. I don't know that Nan is going to show up the same way he does yesterday that
Probably
he did
won't.
with me, and I'm open with curiosity to that experience. I'm in flow and I allow new experiences to unfold. But when I bring in the past into my present, I'm taking that into the future, and I'm unintentionally, to your point, Lynita, most people don't understand this or have not been taught this. I'm bringing my past into my future and thus perpetuating suffering, because that's most of the narrative that we see in this world. Whereas if I walk in and I say, I have no idea how this show's going to go, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm in it to win it and I'm open to it all, it comes like, it turns out divine perfection, and you can't make it any better.
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry, Nana.
no,
Go
no, go
ahead.
good. So, what one thing I'm just gonna say is, I always like the quote, "The present is a present." You know what I mean? Because I think too many
Yes.
times people kind of like, "Oh, I gotta worry about the future," and I'm like, dude, like the future has yet to happen. How about you just live in the now? Like, how about you just live present as much as you can?
Every time I ask Nana where my ring is, she's like, babe, let's just live in the present.
Yo, damn, why you put me on blast? I'm
Hey,
just trying to mind my own
yeah,
business.
we keeping it real. I just say
You
it.
know, it's one of the presents in the presents. That's what it is. Like,
See, Nana, what you need to say is,
yeah.
baby, I'm marrying you every moment.
That's what I tell her.
Yes.
I literally say that. I'm like, yo, we're literally married. Like, what you mean? Like,
Yeah, like
And
I
listen,
can't
I
I
do
can't give
feel
you a
that way.
ring every minute of every day.
bro, we can go to shops and go grab one of them fake ass rings if you want to bring it.
Yeah, I love you so much.
I
But
love you
what were
too.
you gonna say,
Yeah,
Lynita?
please, Lynita.
I'm gonna
I'm
get you off
busting
the
on you,
hot
man.
seat, Nana.
Let me have my face real quick.
No,
Yeah,
that's my
yeah, okay.
baby. He knows.
I'm gonna get my brother off the hot seat.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. So,
Yo, love the
so
energy.
Kerri, I really feel you about this bio thing because I think it must have been about 10 years ago now. I stopped looking at anybody's information before I got on the phone with them.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
am so glad because I promise you, I would not have one of the dearest friends that I have now if I had seen what was out there about her because it was a total lie. So she was a practicing attorney and a person had interest in her and she rebuffed him. And
Gotcha.
instead of him manning up and just accepting that sometimes a woman is not interested and keep on, he created a narrative that led to her becoming disbarred.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes. Now she was readmitted and is living happily ever after now, married to a great man, practicing, doing all the
As
things.
you should.
But when I met her was right after that crap happened.
Yeah.
And somebody just was like, I think you two ladies would be really good friends. They had nothing other than I just like y'all's energy and put us together. And so
Energy.
we got on the phone and she immediately went into explanation of this stuff and I stopped her. I said, "Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't look at any of that stuff before I get on the phone with people because I want to meet you.
Yep.
Yes.
You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? I don't want to be influenced by who I think you are."
100%.
And I didn't understand then the gift
Ooh,
and how God was preparing me for what I would be doing now until I would say maybe a year or two ago. Because all my life, people have come to me and just sat down and just poured out their hearts, right?
all the time.
And right all the time. And when I was younger, like in my 20s, I didn't know how to process that. And I became a huge gossip. I did not have the spiritual or the mental maturity
Yep.
to process what that was. It was a gift. And then what I was supposed to do with the information. That did not come until later,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so thankfully I'm in later. And I understand now that those people need somewhere they can put the stuff. And then now I have, through my Reiki training and my spiritual training, a way to push that right out into the
Yep.
atmosphere so it can be transformed back into love and then sent out into the world to re-energize others. But if I had had that knowledge 20 years ago, how powerful would I have been? Right?
Very, very,
And
very true.
I'm grateful to have it now.
Yep.
But if I was insistent upon reading your bio, going onto your LinkedIn, seeing what the last 10, 15 things you posted on social before I
Man.
got on the phone with you or Zoom now, Zoom with you, I mean, I would be heavily influenced by that. And to
Thank you.
Nana's point, I wouldn't be in now, I would be in then.
Yep. Yep.
100%.
Yep. Whew.
But that's why I encourage people. What makes you feel yummy in this moment? What brings you joy? And don't assume you know. I mean, because one moment I could be singing to Lynita because she came to my heart and I want to make up a funny song. The next moment I could be talking to the bird that just flies by and Nana sees it all the
Okay,
time.
Birdie.
Babe. Right? Like I don't know, but because I don't need to know, it's all about this joy. I experience so much joy because there's no expectation, so I'm never disappointed.
Yes.
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 Well, with 3 minutes left, my beautiful dear friend, first off, I hope you join us again because we love you. But second of
No, this is
all, what is anything you would like to impart on the listening audience that maybe has helped you cultivate joy in a time where that felt maybe a little bit more difficult for you?
Yeah, so the main thing I would like y'all to remember is to focus on living an excellent life rather than a
ooh,
perfect one. The
Ooh.
difference, yeah. So the difference is that when we live a perfect life, we're living up to somebody else's expectations. Somebody else is setting the bar for us. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm a grown person who pays her own bills. And so I don't need somebody else coming into my house, literally and figuratively, telling me how I'm going to live. Okay? So I would like you instead to live an excellent life where you set the bar, you
Yep.
determine the parameters of your life, and built into that is grace. It's
Woo-hoo!
grace it's grace and understanding that who you were yesterday is not who you are today, and it surely should not be who you are tomorrow.
It's so beautiful. Spot on. Because I'll give the listening audience a tangible example. At 30 years old, I was a trained boxer. I was super lean. If I compared my fitness level at 45 to 29, 30, I could easily tear myself apart. Instead, you know what? I'm like, dang, my booty finally filling in. My legs have thicker with
We support that. We
muscle.
support that.
I got the biceps, right? And so, to your point, instead of holding myself accountable to who I was at one point, I accept and love who I am in this moment just as much as I love that person back then. So, mic drop. Yes, babes, you got anything you want to leave the listening audience with?
I just want to just say that I'm super, super excited to get to meet you because I hear so many good things about you, and it's beautiful to see who you are as your spirit. You know what I mean? And the energy you put out there, it's radiant. I can tell from the smile, it's a genuine smile, and just the mentality. I know that definitely like it makes sense why she speaks highly of you. So that's what I want to just point out.
Thank you.
And lastly, I'm going to share with the listening audience, we're magnets. So the energy that we emit is the energy we attract, which is why Nana and I have the deep, humble privilege to have people like Lynita in our lives, because
Correct.
we do the work to cultivate the joy, and as a result, the joy finds us and we foster each other in joy. So until next time, guys, I say stay curious, give yourself graces, Lynita says, and check us out for next week, episode 13 of the Brightside
13.
Chronicles.
13. Hey, yo.